For several decades, Apple has completely changed the game of technology and innovation, showing us the potential for entertainment, business, and much more since the start of the century. From the release of the iPod back in October of 2001 to the iPhone 11 in September of 2019, Apple has generated more than $500 billion in profit. But it didn't solely depend on handheld devices, as they also manufactured and offered a bunch of other services. Notably, over this decade, we have seen a rise in one of these services: streaming. Now, we wouldn't be wrong if we were to dub the past couple years as the streaming wars, as the likes of Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime have made a statement in the entertainment business. And to do as such, Apple has made its own contribution: the Apple TV Plus. So what is it? Back in 2007, Apple released its Apple TV digital media console, which is basically a box that gives you the ability to watch streaming services from the internet on your TV. It's also the only streaming device that natively plays videos straight from the iTunes Store. Fast forward to 2019, Apple released its new streaming service, Apple TV, but with a plus this time, so Apple TV Plus. Super creative, I know. And as described by the company itself, it's a streaming service featuring Apple originals from award-winning series, compelling dramas, groundbreaking documentaries, kids entertainment, comedies, and more, where new Apple originals are added every month. While the Apple TV Plus app tends to be lackluster at best, Apple's true strength and power comes in the form of hardware, in addition to the Apple TV app. The Apple TV app provides recommendations for the day, elaborate compilations of the internet's most talked about shows and films that spans across every available streaming service and network. Apple TV is essentially a content scraper that redirects viewers to their respective streaming subscriptions. If the information provided about a particular content piques their interest, it gives viewers the option to rent or buy the content directly from the iTunes Store. So why would viewers choose or need this service? Why Apple TV Plus? The answer to that is pretty simple. Like all streaming services, Apple wants as many people to have access to their original films and original shows. Keyword being original. That, and also because someone just wants to keep riding the Apple bandwagon. Duh. So how does Apple TV Plus make its money? Well, if you buy an Apple device, Apple TV Plus is included free for 1 year. You can also get season passes that allows for more exclusive content in addition to your Apple TV Plus subscription. And the monthly subscription is just $4.99 per month after a free 7-day trial, which, if you ask me, is one of the lowest subscription prices across all streaming services. The company was forced to keep the price low as more competitors prepare to launch their own services with larger video libraries full of popular shows and movies. But Apple's pricing and free trial also puts it in a position to rapidly build a subscriber base that can be charged more once its video library grows. That being said, it's a no-brainer that data is essential to help these streaming businesses succeed. As we know, the business segment of Apple, being a hardware manufacturer, helps them in their approach on how they should go about with streaming. We know that Netflix is the category leader when it comes to streaming, as they use their data collection to better serve their audience. However, because Apple wants the service to be the primary competitor in the streaming world, it allows non-Apple devices, such as Amazon Fire TVs and Roku players, to have access to it as well. While Apple's direct competitor is Amazon, channels such as Showtime, HBO, Epix, and CBS All Access are the ones that primarily provide the content. That said, Apple provides the hardware and compilation software. One interesting point to mention is that Apple had asked Netflix to be one of their partners, to which the latter company declined due to possible issues that Netflix would not be able to collect user data from Apple if viewers were to use Apple TV app instead of Netflix native app. Yet, Apple remains a leading player in the hardware industry, but in terms of its subscription, it is majorly dragging behind because of the limited supply of shows and movies being offered. And because of that, it's quite unsure for Apple to approach a mass audience, unlike Netflix, who uses data collection as their key strategy for meeting the needs and wants of their audience. All in all, compared with streaming giants like Netflix, Apple TV Plus still has quite a ways to go. Not only is Netflix utilizing its data collection and other information, its friendly interface with a huge variety of shows and movies gives it another lead. Although it offers its own original shows and channels like HBO and Showtime, it isn't enough to be on a par even with Amazon Prime, let alone Netflix. In the future, however, Apple might be leading as it continues to branch out in other streaming aspects such as games and similar services. That's one aspect that it's ahead of when compared with other companies. More importantly, with the global pandemic playing in the midst of all this, Apple TV Plus is going to suffer in the longer run as it has to hold productions for their new and original content. Without new products, there will be no outcome for them. However, as I've mentioned earlier, the release of streaming games through Apple Arcade could potentially be a hit during COVID-19 as people are trying to find more ways to be entertained besides just streaming movies and shows alone. So either way, Apple TV Plus subscribers will find themselves with more options than other streaming services that only offers movies and shows. Finally, there's no doubt that Apple will try to become the leading company when it comes to offering streaming services. That's the goal of every company. However, it must do what it does best with their competitors, and that's to innovate. Apple TV Plus can be like any other services, but they have to find a loophole in which they can function and be successful in. That's easier said than done, but nevertheless, impossible.